Hey guys, OG Albini here, bringing you guys another video here to the channel, and I don't know exactly what I'm going to call this, but I really wanted to discuss the new Galarian birds and their potential in Draft League and a Draft League setting and stuff like that. I'm so excited for these to come out. If you don't know, obviously, in the DLC, in the second one, the Crown Tundra, there will be, Galarian region, variants, of the legendary birds from Kanto coming out, and they all look amazing. Their designs are great, but nonetheless, I want to kind of talk about them from a Draft League perspective, see how good they'll be, what maybe stat spreads they could have, potential movesets, what they really need to be good, and things like that. And yeah, I do want to give a shout out to Dr. Slacken, because he did kind of a really cool video that I watched last night, kind of just talking about the entire trailer in general from a Draft League perspective, and it was really cool. I'll link it in the description. Definitely go give it a watch. It's going to be a lot longer than this one, and it talks about a lot more stuff, but I really want to talk about the Galarian birds, but obviously do credit to him because he did it first, which is dope. But yeah, with that being said, let's jump into the first one, which is going to be my favorite. I'm going to flash up the Galarian sprite up on the screen, and that's going to be Galarian Zapdos. This thing looks insane. Typing wise, it's rocking out with the fighting flying, which is phenomenally offensively. Immediately you think of Halucho, which is menace under, with the right support and, with some good terrain support, the Unburden boost, getting up an SD, stuff like that. Absolutely terrifying. Great speed stat. Its stabs cover a lot. Fighting plus flying hits a lot of the metagame very hard, especially if you do have that high base power flying move and something like a Brave Bird or like a boosted Acro or something like that, like how Lucha can. And the crazy thing about Lucha is it doesn't even have the most insane attack stat, and it's as threatening as it is. I mean, look at this. It's only rocking out with a 92, which isn't the craziest thing in the world, but it's still a giant threat nonetheless. That's why I'm really excited for this Galarian Zapdos. If you look at Zapdos' spread right now, it's rocking out with 125 attack, something I could definitely see them doing, just to kind of keep this base stat, total somewhat the same, which they usually do for these variants. I can see them totally swapping the 125 and the 90 towards 125 attack, and that with the flying and fighting stabs is going to be insane. It's going to be really good. Ability wise, it got Defiant. Obviously this isn't regular Zapdos' ability, but Defiant, what it does is it gives you a +2 attack rates whenever your stats are lowered, which is really cool because this is going to stop Intimidate shuffling on this thing, so you're not really going to be able to pivot around it very well, especially when you factor in its signature move, which we'll talk about in a little bit here. But you're not going to really be able to pivot around it very well, and it's going to be a very viable hazard stack abuser. If you can get up some hazards and really force your opponent to defog, you can really punish that, or you can keep it to where they just don't do it in general, and you can kind of just keep up your spike and your rocks and your webs and all that crazy stuff, and really use this thing as a wall-breaking menace, because I really do think this thing's going to be strong. I'm so excited for it. It also looks like it's going to be incredibly fast. They talk about in the descriptions how it's blazing fast, stuff like that. It doesn't really fly anymore. Its wings have atrophied, which is, a cool little touch. I love these things' designs. I think they're so clean looking. But it's obviously going to be a bird that's more so focused on land running and stuff like that, like a Dodrio or something like that. So I could see it at least with like a base 110 speed would be nice. Say they take, a 10 off of its special attack or its defense or something like that. Let's rock it at 110. I'm not saying it has to be like 130 speed or something like that. Obviously, that'd be dope. But if we can just get it up to a, obviously at 328 at level 100 with a max Jolly, if you can get it up to 350 with that base 110, that's going to be great, especially in like a Galar only dex meta. That makes it very fast, and again, with a great offensive typing. Signature move wise, they all got their own signature move, and I think Zapdos is probably the best. It's a move called Thunderous Kick, and what it is it's a physical fighting move. We don't know the base power yet, but we'll kind of speculate that out here in a second. It is a physical fighting move that when obviously use it, it lowers the target's defense by 1, which is amazing. It's basically like a Fire Lash or a Grav Apple or something like that. So that makes me think that it's going to be like around base 80-ish power. I think anything more would be a little too much. So I can see them bearing around like base 70, base 80. But if you factor that in with like the Brave Bird and the Defiant and potential setup options the thing's going to have, like I said earlier, it's going to be a pain to pivot around this thing. It's going to be so difficult to switch into this thing. I was doing some calcs yesterday, and I want to kind of throw them up on the screen because this is the one I'm by far the most excited about. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to 125 base attack, we're going to give it max, and we're going to say it's adamant because we got webs offense and we know we're outspeeding everything because this thing's fast or something like that, we're going to give it close combat, sure. We're going to move it down to 80 base power, and then we're gonna give it Brave Bird, and let's give it the fighting typing. Cool. So let's go find ourselves a Clefable. Clefable's annoying. It's really fat and bulky as a fairy. It's a great fighting type check, right? We're gonna put it up there. This is even Spadef Clefable. So let's give it the benefit of the doubt and say it's max defense. Max defense, bold, you know, just the whole 9 yards. If we calc in, you know, that 15 to 18 with that, you know, thunderous kick, saying it's base 80 power, fine, not that much damage. But then you factor in, oh man, it's going to -1. Then you're doing 70 to 82 with the Brave Bird after that. So if you can just put on a little bit of pressure on prior, you're 2-hit KOing that thing on switch with your combinations of your moves, which is insane to me. I think this thing's going to be really good. Again, this is all based on assumption. I don't know this thing's spat spread. I don't know how good the move's going to be. This thing could be dirt slow, and it could be a special attacker for some reason. Who knows? It keeps the same exact stats as Zapdos. Who knows? But off of my assumptions, I'm thinking it might be something like this, and I think that would be insane. I think this one will be really, really, really good if they give it a decent wall-breaking attack stat. It doesn't even have to be the 125. In all honesty, they can give it like, you know, a 100 between 110 attack stat, and I still think it would be amazing. I still think it would be a great Pokemon. Something I could really see this thing getting set up wise is bulk up. It is a fighting type, and it looks like something that will want to bulk up on you, you know, set up in your face kind of thing. And if it gets roost, bulk up roost sets could be really, really annoying. Another option obviously would be something like Swords Dance or something like that. Obviously super clutch, and something we haven't, you know, really touched on as well is you're not going to be really forced into that boots item as much as most other flying types, because it's going to be neutral on you. You're only going to take that 12% from rock, so it's not as annoying. You can come in a lot freer, and you can, you know, throw a life orb on this thing. You can throw an extra bell, or, you know, a band, or, you know, a resist berry for the Clefable. You can run what do you call it, Roselli berry, so that you don't take much from the Moonblast, and you can 1v1 it pretty easy. So I think this thing's going to be amazing. I'm so excited for it, and I'm telling you right now, immediately I'm drafting this thing on Wi-Fi. Round 1, pick 1. I will pay the owner of the league $100. Give me the first pick so I can draft this thing. Please don't ban it. So this thing's going to be clutch. I'm very, very, very excited here for Zapdos. But next up, we're going to talk about the second coolest one. I love this one as well. I honestly love all of these. We're going to be talking about Valerian Moltres. Here is the sprite. This thing is going to be a dark and flying type, which is phenomenal offensively. Usually when people think of dark flying types right now, at least because of just Gen 8 and how it is, you think of Mandibus because it's so prevalent in OU. It's, you know, obviously a great draft mon too. It's a pretty good defensive typing. When I think of dark flying, I think of Yveltal, and I think of how that thing is literally impossible to switch into. Like, it's terrifying, especially with the fact that it gets fire coverage in Heat Wave, which I really do think this thing will get it. It's not a fire type anymore, but it's got flames all over it. Its signature move is called, what is it called again? Fiery Wrath. This thing better get Heat Wave or Flamethrower or some Overheat even, something like that. I'd be very surprised if it didn't. Honestly, it's not needed, but if it does, makes it that much better offensively. This thing's going to be really, really solid. And another dark flying type that people sleep on too, in the best just because of its speed and its pretty bad bulk. Honchkrow still menaces to switch into, especially in lower tiers. I love Honchkrow. So this thing could be really, really, really great offensively, especially when you factor in its new ability, Berserk. I believe Drampa was the only Pokemon with Berserk in the past, but what Berserk does is it's going to raise your special attack by 1 whenever your health reaches below 50%. And being that this is a dark flying type, and I think it'll probably have Roost, that can be very, very abusable. With the set we have right here, this is going to be like a sub-Roost set. I think it can be a big problem. Dark Pulse is what we have here as a substitution for our stab, because its signature move, Fiery Wrath, is basically Dark Pulse, but I think it's going to be stronger. It's just a special Dark type move that can cause the opponent to flinch potentially. So it's literally Dark Pulse, but it's probably going to be like, you know, base 100 or base like 120 or something like that, and it's you know, actual type base power. I'm leaning probably more to like 90 or 100, hopefully 100. 120 would be pretty insane, especially if going off Fire Wrath plus Hurricane. Pretty nuts, but regardless, it'll be really good. Sub and Roost, I could definitely see it obviously getting those things. Another thing I could potentially see this thing getting is going to be Nasty Plot, being a dark type, being a special attacker. So many things got Nasty Plot this year. If this thing doesn't, and it's like classified as like the malevolent Pokemon or something terrifying like that, this Pokemon more than likely is going to get that option. And even if it just keeps the same exact stat spread as Moltres now, that's going to be terrifying to switch into. Absolutely terrifying. When you factor in a +1, say you're going modest or something like that, you're rocking out with 383 at level 100, which is insane. Even with just a timid nature, you're walking out with 349, and the speed stat really isn't that bad, especially if you're a really potent wall breaker. And again, with this offensive typing, I really think it will be. I think this thing will be phenomenal in the draft format. It'll be really, really, really hard to switch into. You can obviously abuse boots. You will be weak to rocks, unlike the Zapdos, but it's not the biggest deal in the world because boots is such a good item. I mean, sometimes you're more so forced onto it with rock weak mons, but who cares? It's really not that bad. And if you got good hazard control, then you might not need it. And it's better than being 4 times weak to rocks like regular Moltres is, when that thing's pretty much always forced into boots in that Dex leagues right now. So I really do think this thing is going to be an absolute monster in the draft format, just simply because of its offensive coverage potential and things like that. Dark plus flying plus fire really does sound terrifying. I mean, even the fairies of the world don't want to come in and take a +1 or a +2 hurricane. Most of them are going to drop after a little bit of chip, unless your name is Florges or Sylveon or something like that. You're not really switching into the Valerian Moltres. If it does have the stat spread that I imagine, it's going to be really, really terrifying. And again, all speculation. I do not work at Game Freak, and nor does my uncle, so I don't know for sure, but these are just kind of my assumptions and things that they might get, things that they might rock out with stat spread wise. Now let's talk about the last one, another very cool one that I unfortunately don't think is going to be as good as I put the sprite up before I go to the actual mon, and that's going to be Galarian Articuno. Galarian Articuno is a psychic flying type, which is a very, very good typing in my opinion. It's a great defensive typing. I think of things like Zachu immediately, which is a great lower tier psychic that I love drafting and using, and I actually love using it regular Smogon tiers too. This thing has a signature move called Freezing Glare, which is just a special psychic type move that actually has the chance to freeze your opponent. Now, how good this thing is, or not necessarily how good this thing is, but it'll be really dependent to see like how broken they make this move. Because if they make it something like Scald chance, like they give it like a 30% chance to freeze, honestly this thing will be insane just because of the fact of how unbalanced and uncompetitive freeze is as a mechanic, and getting that Scald Bird chance as a freeze when you switch in your steel type to resist the psychic type move, that's stupid. That's like absolutely ridiculous, and I hope I really hope that's not. I hope it's just Ice Beam potential, like it's 10%, because whatever, that's fine. That happens, that's mons. It's an RNG fill game, but 30% would be nuts. I wouldn't even want 20. I really hope it's just 10. But obviously a freeze chance is nice. It doesn't make the move bad. If it's like equivalent to psychic or even a little stronger and it can freeze, obviously run that instead. That's going to be super, super solid. Now, the biggest thing with this Pokemon, in my opinion, Psychic Flying is a really cool typing, but something I really want from it is a way to hit Steel types. Steel and Darks. I feel like you can work around a little bit easier, but Steel types especially, I feel like it's very, very important for an offensive Psychic to be able to hit. Now, it's just a matter of ways that it would be able to hit them. Unfortunately, because this thing is based off of, the original Articuno, I don't think it's going to get fire coverage. A lot of flying types get heat wave just because, the flapping of the wings and stuff like that. I don't think the ice flying or former ice flying type is going to get heat wave, unfortunately. It could. I could be completely wrong, but again, it even has some of that ice symbolism in its new form where it's not even an ice type anymore. So I'd be super surprised if it got like a heat wave or something like that. Earth power is another option. A lot of psychic types get earth power. But again, I don't really see it in this mon. I think the most likely option, and I kind of just had this epiphany, is potentially an Aura Sphere. It's another move that psychic types potentially get, and this thing being a psychic. I can see this happening a little bit more, just based on, kind of the design of it and the way it looks and things like that. I think that would be great for this thing, just being able to hit steels and darks in one slot. Obviously, you will have access to your flying stat bow too, so if you're not playing the greatest steel type, or you're playing like a Ferrothorn or something like that that takes neutral damage from the flying type moves, you might want to rock out with that. Something I could also see this thing getting, obviously being the psychic typing, is Calm Mind. I think Calm Mind would be great for this thing, obviously boosting up its Spadef and its special attack. And if it keeps a similar Spadef stat to before, it's going to be really, 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 really fat and annoying. Regular Articuno is a beast, in my opinion, as a lower tier mod, especially with the addition of boots. Now that it's not 4 times weak to rocks and it has better defensive typing, I think this thing could be really, really solid on the defensive side, especially if it potentially got like a dual screens, if it got like a U-turn as well. I think this thing could be solid utility-wise. But obviously, I think it's going to get access to Roost. Another thing I could potentially see is maybe a Nasty Plot. I'm leaning more so Calm Mind. It could get both. I'd be very surprised if it didn't get Calm Mind, but Nasty Plot maybe, just because it looks, again, these Pokemon are like edgy.exe. They're super, trying to appeal to that more edgy side of the, Mons community and fan base and stuff like that, where they like the cool, tough, rugged looking Mons. So I could see it getting a potential Nasty Plot, but I am leaning more Calm Mind. But like I said, Screens would be nice. A Aura Sphere would be nice. Something to hit Steel types would be great. U-Turn, obviously, for all of these. Zapdos is another one I totally forgot to mention. If this thing got U-Turn, it would be amazing too. I would love U-Turn on this thing. Just being able to grab that momentum with its, potentially high physical stack stat. But back to Articuno. This thing will be good. I don't think it'll be bad. I think it'll be better than Articuno at the very least. And again, I love Articuno. I think it's a great, like, tier 4, tier 5 mon. It's hard to say where it would be in Galar decks with boots and stuff like that. Regardless, it's a really good low tier mon, but I think this thing could be better. And it really just depends on its coverage and that freezing glare move. It really does. I totally forgot to touch on its ability, which is going to be competitive. Competitive is just the special counterpart to Defiant, which is basically going to raise its special attack base 2 whenever any stat drops happen. So you can punish Intimidate pretty heavy here. You can punish Defog. You can punish a bunch of things like that. Really boost up your own special attack without the need of Calm Mind or Nasty Plot or anything like that, which is obviously nice. You can, really take advantage of some hazard stack with this thing, which can be nice, for wearing down those steals. Even if you don't get coverage to hit them, if you got 2 spikes and rocks up, every time they switch in, take a Hurricane, take that extra, 20% on top of taking 2 spikes and rocks, they're not going to be switching for very long, which is nice. And again, you can punish that Defog, come hard in on it, and then Hurricane, throw a +2 Hurricane off and do like 40% to the Steel type coming in, and then you 2 KO it or something like that after a little bit of chip. So really solid ability, really solid Pokemon. I am so excited for these things. Articuno, and then let's throw the other ones up on the screen. Moltres, and obviously, lastly, going to be Zapdos. Let me know what you guys think. If you think I'm completely wrong and I'm, all over the place in these kinds of movesets and things like that, you think they'll have different stats, you think they'll have different, movesets and all that stuff, please let me know. I love discussing stuff like that, so please jump into the comments, kind of debate with me. Tell me I'm wrong and dumb and why and all that stuff. But thank you guys so much for watching. If you're new here, be sure to consider subscribing. We got a lot of draft content and a lot of discussion videos going up. We have a Draft League study video series where we kind of discuss the viability of a lot of different potential mods in draft and show examples of them. We got our own Draft League content. We got occasional, standard Smogon Wi-Fi battles. We got a lot of Showdown Lives and stuff like that. So definitely stick around if you do enjoy that kind of stuff. But regardless, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Later.